And what are you seeing?
Well, a very good morning to you, Yuveka. I am actually near the Jukskei River in Alexandra, one of the, I think, hotspots for, possible floodings. And of course, as I am seeing this right now, well, first of all, let me just go back to when I was driving here. And of course, driving to work effectively in the morning, a lot of roads are flooded, especially low bridges. They are flooded there, and I think the emergency service response has actually issued out a statement saying that people mustn't be daredevils in terms of actually crossing such intersections. They must try and find other alternative roads, and effectively even saying that people who can stay at home must actually do that, because it's not a very safe time to be driving around. But as I've said, that I am here in Jukskei River, here in Alexandra, one of the key areas I think that needs to be monitored, which is of course not the case here because I don't see any emergency services, but I can tell you the residents keep on coming. If my cameraman can pan for me, the residents of these shacks that are just near the river keep on coming outside to monitor what is actually happening. Is the river getting filled and is getting nearer to their houses, which effectively it is getting nearer, because last night we were here monitoring the same situation, and residents are just standing there trying to see what they can do, trying to see if they should stay in their houses or actually go find another shelter. I think effectively one of the things that should have been done for these people was to give them the option of actually going to a community hall or some place where they can take some of their belongings and be, in a safe place, because this is a very hazardous area as far as I'm concerned. And we will get closer for you, Yuveka, to actually see what these people are experiencing, the fear that these people are experiencing, because we see some of them even trying to nail down their, trying to reinforce their shacks. And it's quite amazing that there hasn't been any option for them to actually, maybe even go to a nearby church, because this I can certainly confirm that is a hazardous area. But of course there are reports of floodings, not necessarily fortunately that there haven't been any fatalities, but there were reports that there are places that were flooded, residential areas. But EMS services, emergency services, saying that they are monitoring the situation closely. But I think in this case what can be a good thing for these people is actually to be proactive and actually look into these key areas, look into the areas that are possibly going to be flooded if the rain continues, if the heavy rains continue pouring, and actually try to prevent instead of being a responsive emergency services. But those are the things we are looking into. We'll try go nearer to these places to speak to the residents and see how they are feeling. But a lot of anxiety you can even see from afar, these people coming out of their shacks.
Well, we know emergency services, Nana Kharebe, is saying they are keeping an eye, Lindo, on those areas which traditionally have been worst affected by this kind of weather and flooding as well. And you would also imagine that those houses along the river there, were possibly sort of rebuilt and have been affected before for these residents to be taking this kind of precaution and looking out. So it's probably not the first time that they've had to do this. And also this is possibly that row of houses that we saw there closest to the river possibly having been rebuilt after such flooding before.
Well, very much so, Yuveka. People are saying that, there is no place where they can go. Even last night, I was speaking to some of them. They said, we used to this. And one of the residents I spoke to jokingly saying, but of course you can even imagine the effect of that we are used to this. And if anything happens, we don't have a choice but to rebuild. What we can only hope for is that there are no lives lost. So those are the situations that these people, I feel, and I see that they're living under. And they are trying to reinforce. I remember last time when we came here, it wasn't as reinforced. Now they have fences, to try and secure whatever that they have as their belongings. But I'm afraid this is their reality right now, and they're saying there's nowhere to go for them. No approach from community leaders whatsoever, said one of the residents, and no, communication from emergency responses except for what we see on social media and on television.
All right, and you would imagine the sort of that this would be one of the first areas, Lindo, that you know, would try to be secure or move people away before it actually happens, like you say. Are you seeing people sort of going about their normal business then, Lindo? Have you seen children sort of heading to school, or are most of them, or people heading off to work, or are they opting to stay at home and keep an eye on the situation?
Well, Iveka, I think as the saying goes, life really has to go on. And I've seen a lot of people even trying, Mr. Mashudi, if you can pen to me, even trying to go about their normal lives. I think we're penning to the lady there who's, you know, washing some or filling water there. So you see that people are going through their normal lives, Iveka, around this area. And some of them waiting in the bus stop, they're waiting for taxis to go to work. So those are the situations here. As much as it is a dire situation and they are closely monitoring it, but school children are going to school and people are actually going to their respective places. As you can see, even learners going to school. So it's life as usual, but of course the most concerned people are the ones that are near the river. One of the residents I spoke to actually said he is not worried because he knows that his residential area is a bit far from the river, and he says most people who get affected are the ones from the river, right, who stay near the river.
We'll let you go get a closer look there at what's happening, especially those who are closest to the river now. Just get a look for us, Lindo, and just see how people are coping. Thank you very much. Ian says Lindokuhle Xulu along the Jukskei River there in Alexandra.